Today, we are once again talking about these fake Panini stickers, and not only am I going to name and shame the seller, like I said I would in the last video, I want to talk you guys through a blowout thread from 4 years ago that very much looks like it's the same individual, in my opinion, and this person is making fake Panini stickers, fake autographs, fake cards, and is ripping people off. Now, this is not something that's in huge volume, so we shouldn't be super scared, but it's one of those stories that you sort of need to be across in case you see one of these things at a local card show or a store, or just doing a trade with somebody, because these things are out there, like I said, so we need to be a little bit careful. Now, the video I'm referencing is the one from 4 days ago. Not many people watched it, but I basically talked about fake Panini stickers floating out in the wild. A friend of mine has a very expensive card listed for sale on eBay. This individual wanted to trade these cards for that expensive card. This person has an eBay store, but they didn't have these things listed, but they were trying to do a trade with them. So that raised red flags and eyebrows immediately. And then when you look at the cards in question, it's obviously, confirmed to the point where these things are, 100% fake. Now, the Panini sticker looks incredibly suspicious, as I said last time, as did the Tom Brady auto. I wasn't certain on that, but a few others have told me that looks incredibly suspicious. What I did talk to you in the last video was the fact that this stamp is also very suspicious, as is this wording for autograph. And there's a few other cards in there as well that have the same, question marks around them. Now, like I said, I was waiting to name and shame the seller because I wanted to get some information from them. And whilst I've not got a response, I had a really good chat with Orban35, like I think I alluded to a little bit earlier. And it very much looks like the person that's running that account is based in the same location as the person in that blowout thread that I mentioned earlier. They're both based in Indiana within the US. And the cards themselves look very much identical in terms of the inconsistencies with the stamping on the back. That makes me, comfortable enough to say this is the guy in question. So it's this page over here, 1 of 1 collect. I couldn't see anything this guy actually has listed that's suspicious. But what was interesting, like I said, is that these cards he was trying to do a trade with. Now, it's a bit odd that he wouldn't have those listed. Maybe he knows they're fake and he's trying to offload them, or maybe there's a genuine reason why that's the case and he doesn't have them listed. But for the time being, I thought I could share it with you guys. You do a bit more research and see if you can spot something that I missed and that Orban35 missed. But it's one to keep front of mind. Like I said, this is a seller. Maybe try not to buy anything from this individual until you get a bit more, confirmation that the stuff is in fact genuine. And the reason why, like I said, this is interesting and I was comfortable sort of naming and shaming this seller is that there's a blowout thread here from 2020 where there's a lot of cards in here with fake autographs and fake stamping on the back. And you can sort of see here, it's the same, Panini guarantee wording. And whilst that's, consistent with, what you see on the back of Panini cards, the font itself is a little bit suspicious, and you can see it on these other cards. And whilst, this one is quite large and those ones are smaller, which better match what Panini stuff looks like, they share all the same consistencies, like I said, with the wording, with the fake stickers, with the fake autographs, and the fact they're in the same state leads me to believe it's the same person, and Orban35 somewhat agreed, or he suggested it in the first place, I should say. But if you skip ahead to like the later years where you've got stuff from 2022, you'll see some actual, stuff that was graded by PSA where that autograph is very clearly fake and people have, flagged it. I think this has been since taken down by PSA. You can sort of see over here, incredibly suspicious. And then, a bit further down, you'll see something very interesting, which is once again, these black and white fake Panini stickers that we talked about in the last video that are incredibly questionable, as is the wording on the back regarding, guarantee of the autograph, and then the black 1 of 1, box sticker as well. It's one of those things that's been popping up quite a lot within our hobby. Now, when I say quite a lot, I don't mean, these things are everywhere, but, you've got more and more people scamming and they're doing stuff like this. And you basically had a situation where somebody all the way back in 2020 was, making this stuff. And whilst it might not be the same person, despite all those consistencies, it might be in a situation of the person who originally was flagged in this blowout thread, which was the eBay user, Will Hauser, up here, as you can sort of see, maybe somehow sold all those to somebody in Indiana, and that is the person trying to offload these. But given the volume of them, it probably makes more sense that it was, the same individual basically doing this and he's still trying to offload them. Now, what was sort of interesting here, and you can sort of see here, Orban, or 90s Kid, I should say, confirmed that thing was deactivated, that Brady I showed you earlier. But there's, a few others where another person in Indiana is selling the fake pops with the fake stickers. I think Orban35 made a post over here where the eBay seller is Panini Cards Indie. Again, person changing the name. He basically says here, this eBay seller could be a new account for Will. And I would assume that this, 1 of 1 collect is maybe another new account for that individual. But like I said, this stuff is sort of popping up, and we just need to be across it. You've got another interesting thread here where some of these other questionable autos have been flagged by Auburn35, which I can put down, in the description below. But we just need to be, aware of it. People don't like when I talk about this stuff because they say it's negative, and I keep repeating that in some of my recent videos. And it's not negative. Me talking about this stuff is helping people. And I'm not saying the hobby's doom and gloom. The hobby's fun, right? And I've had people recently also say to me, well, you don't need to talk about this stuff. Talk about the positive stuff. But I look at it through the lens of, well, number one, the hobby is fun, right? We collect it for a reason. We already know it's fun. So why do you need people to tell you 24/7 that the thing is fun? We need more people flagging this sort of stuff so people can be educated and sort of avoid this kind of thing. Because some of this stuff has got by PSA and it's taken years to get it deactivated, like you saw there. Some of these things are being sold on eBay that people are sort of buying and then getting burned down the line. You've got somebody, trying to do trades on eBay right now, and who's to say he's not taking them to a card show? And, if this stuff isn't brought to the forefront and discussed, somebody's going to go to that show and potentially pick up that card. And then what are you going to do? I always look at it through the lens of, someone like myself, right? I don't have a whole lot of money to spend on cards. I rarely spend money on cards. So when I buy something, it's a big commitment, right? It's like, going on a holiday kind of thing where you're finally, collating all that money and you're spending it on something, and you want that thing to be genuine, right? Your hard-earned money needs to be going towards something that's, you're going to enjoy and have forever, right? But to have somebody, collate all that money and then spend it on something that turns out to be fake, that's a really shitty situation. And, through that lens of myself, right, where I go to all that effort to save the money, I've got, a wife, 2 kids, I've got a mortgage, all that sort of stuff, where me spending that kind of money is tangible and means something. So if it's going to a card, I want to make sure that I'm not getting ripped off. So that's the lens and the thought process that I have when I talk about this stuff, because I'm sure every single one of you have that same mindset, right? When you go ahead and buy something, it's a luxury. Just like when we were kids or when I was a kid, I'd go to the shop and getting a pack of cards was a treat that I got once a month kind of thing. It's a special thing, and I want to preserve that as much as possible. And I probably sound like an idiot right now, but you guys get where I'm going, or hopefully you do. I want to talk about this stuff so people can get educated, so that somebody like myself is not the one buying something that's fake, because we need to talk about it. And the people would say, you don't need to talk about it. Again, you're an idiot. So it is what it is. I think I rambled quite a lot in this one. I think the too long didn't read is, that's the seller's name. This looks like it's a known account or a known user within that state, within Indiana, that's been moving this stuff for quite a long time. There's quite an extensive blowout thread that's covering this sort of stuff. There are a number of these cards out there. You just need to be wary. Help your mates out when you sort of see this stuff, educate, and then, the hobby will get better one day at a time. So, it is what it is. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.